Aloha, everybody, and welcome to the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast. It's me, your host, Drew Manning. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I am here in Utah, and I have an awesome interview for you guys today. For those of you who don't know, I used to live out in Hawaii. Well, about a year and a half ago, I was out there and lived on the big island of Hawaii, lived in Kona, and I met a lot of cool people out there. And a couple of people that I met, I brought on the podcast today. I was introduced to a product called Aston, which is made of Hawaiian astaxanthin, and I started taking the product out there. Anyways, I found out that the headquarters, the facilities, they harvest it right out there in Kona. And so I was able to take a tour of the place, see the science behind it, how they make it. It's a very strenuous, complicated process. But anyways, I was super impressed, and I've been taking the product forever. You guys have seen me post about Aston plenty of times. For my joints, my skin, those are the two biggest things that I notice. I stopped taking my glucosamine and chondroitin supplements. Anyways, I brought 3 people on the podcast at once, and they're all joining me from Kona. So the founder of the company, Dr. Jerry, he's the founder of it. He started making Spirulina back in the 80s, and then located to Hawaii, and then found Astaxanthin, which is a very powerful antioxidant made from these microalgae. Anyways, he's on, the founder of the company, and then I brought on Salika Ho'omana, who's a good friend of mine, who has an amazing transformation story. He's he was a CrossFit coach when I was out there. He's a strength and conditioning coach now. He used to be overweight. He lost 100 plus pounds, which is amazing in and of itself. And then he started training Agnes, who's the director of sales and marketing for Aston. And now, she being, I think she's 50. He trains her doing triathlons, and that's how Salika lost his weight, was getting into triathlons. And now he trains Agnes, who's been working for the company for 19 years, I think. Now she's doing triathlons at 50, and her goal this year is to do an Ironman. Anyways, there's 3 separate people, so it's a little bit complicated. Just be patient with us as we get rolling. Once we get rolling, then it's a little bit smoother throughout the episode. But it's a great episode nonetheless. You're going to learn about the science behind Spirulina and Astaxanthin, and why you should at least consider looking into these types of supplements or products to take to add to your regimen, if you haven't already been taking them. I do take them. I'll be honest with you, I do. I don't have an affiliation with the company. I just like them, and that's why I wanted to bring them on, right? So anyways, the cool thing is they did pass on a discount code for 40% off all their products for you guys. If you go to bioaston.com, just enter in the code FIT to FAT to FIT, just like my podcast, my book, my brand, and you get 40% off of their products. Like I said, once again, I don't have a commission base, or I'm not sponsored by them by any means. I'm a big fan of the product. But go to bioaston.com, enter in the code FIT to FAT to FIT. That's with the number 2. So FIT number 2, FAT number 2, FIT, for 40% off all their products. This episode is also brought to you by everlywell.com. Everlywell.com is the company I use to do all my blood testing. And the nice thing about it is that I can do all my blood testing from home. I don't have to go into a doctor's office anymore. I can test my hormones. I can test my lipid profile, my my testosterone, my cortisol, those types of hormones. And all I do is go to their website, everlywell.com/fit to fat to fit, for 10% off their tests. No more doctor's offices, no more waiting in lines, no more drawing a ton of blood. It's a prick of the finger or a urine sample, and that's all you have to do. And then you get emailed your results a few days later, and it's a super simple, convenient way of getting your blood work done, so you don't have to go into the doctor's office anymore. So those are our 2 sponsors. Please go check them out. They definitely, we wouldn't be able to do this show without our sponsors. But for now, let's go hang out with Agnes, Salika, and Dr. Jerry. All right, so we have Salika, we have Agnes and Jerry joining us all the way out from the Big Island of Hawaii in Kona. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast. How are you guys doing?
Very well. Thank you for having us, Drew.
Thank you.
Good morning, Drew.
Yeah, I know you. It's morning out there almost. Well, afternoon. You guys are 3 hours behind. But I really appreciate you guys joining me today. For all my listeners that are listening, for those of you who don't know, I used to live out there in Kona, and that's how I met these wonderful people. And we have a great podcast ahead. But first, if you guys don't mind, we'll start with Agnes. If you guys can kind of tell us I call it your superhero origin story of how you got to where you are today, a little bit about yourself. And we'll start with Agnes, then we'll go Alika, and then we'll go to Jerry.
Okay, I'll start. Well, I'm Agnes. I'm originally from Holland. I moved to Kona about 29 years ago. I started working here in the health food industry, in a health food store to be exact, about 25 years ago. Then I moved on to Cyanotech. I've been with the company for 19 years this year. I love it. Great company, good people. I'm very into fitness lately.
Yeah, tell us about that. You weren't always into fitness. How did you get into fitness?
A couple of years ago, when I was 49, I decided, it's time for me to get in shape now. But by the time I'm 50, because I figure if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it ever, put it that way. Off and on my whole life, I was kind of like a little bit here, a little bit there. I gained a few pounds, lost a few pounds, but never really where I wanted to be. And so anyways, I met Alika through my daughter at CrossFit, and he's just a super cool guy. And I said, okay, well, does he do personal training? See if that might work. And sure enough, he did. Started working out with him. It's been almost 2 years now. Lost a few pounds, I think about, 50 or something.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're still at it. We did a couple of triathlons. We're training for a 50K in a few weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and he always keeps things very interesting. So, yeah.
No, I'm sure he does. So about that, 50 pounds is a lot of weight, first of all.
Yes.
And then to do triathlons, that's a whole nother thing. Was that more of Alika trying to convince you to do it, or did you have a passion? Did you know that's something like a goal you had in mind originally, or what got you into triathlon?
I didn't really have a goal at the beginning other than to lose some weight. And once that started happening, it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe I should set a goal. And I believe the first one was to do a half a marathon, which what we did. And then I think Alika did come up with the Aloha Man. He suggested that because that's an Olympic distance. That's how I kind of got into it. And it's not like, I'm not a full-on triathlete. I don't want to say it's all I do because I definitely don't want to get stuck with one sport. So I'm always looking for something interesting and exciting. But that's kind of how I got into it.
Awesome. Okay, let's go to Alika next. Alika, your story is awesome too, man, and you got to tell us all of it.
All of it, everything. All right.
Every detail. So
my parents got together. My name is Alika Ho'omana. I was born in Oahu, and I moved here to Kona when I was about 7 or 8 years old. Spent a few years here in Kona, then moved over to Hilo for about 7 or 8 years, where I went to the Hawaiian immersion school, learned how to speak our native tongue, and then moved back here to Kona to graduate at Kona Hawaiian. After high school, there's no sports after. I've always been fairly athletic, but after high school, there's just really nothing unless you're going to college, and I wasn't planning on going to any colleges. So I decided to conquer the bars around town and be the best drinker I could possibly be. I was fairly good at it.
Did you win a gold medal?
I always win the gold medal. Yeah. So I gained quite a bit of weight. I'm 5'7", and I gained up to about 265 pounds. Yeah. And so it's a nice big old round shape. I'm also an artist, so I designed a lot of the artwork for the Ironman World Championships here in Kona. And through that's how I got into the world of triathlon. So I figured to help lose some weight, I could do 3 sports put into one. that'll speed up the process. So I did. I started to train for triathlon, and let's see, I started to train for some triathlons, and I lost some weight until a friend of mine introduced me to CrossFit. And with the combination of CrossFit and the endurance sport, I lost quite a bit of weight, about 110 pounds to be exact. And yeah, it was good. I mean, over the course of maybe like 3 years, and fell in love with the CrossFit way of training, and it kind of carried that over into the endurance world, where I currently train a bunch of my athletes, if you will, or clients. So yeah, that's kind of where I've done World Championships here in Kona in 2012. Ran across the country in 2013 with a buddy of mine to raise some money for the Hurricane Sandy victims.
Oh wait, that's right. I forgot about that. You ran across the country from where to where?
It was started in San Francisco City Hall, ended in New York City Hall. It was 71 days, and averaged about 50 to 55 miles a day.
Oh my gosh, man. And that is incredible. I completely forgot that story. I remember you telling me that. My mind was blown. And I know a lot of people listening to this are like, wait, did I hear that right? You ran across the country. You Forrest Gumped it.
We got that a lot. I went up there to just be a part of his crew. His name is Jason Lester. And I was there to just be a part of his crew. And he had a mountain bike that I could ride if I chose to, but riding at 5 miles per hour for that many miles was just horrible in my butt. So
yeah,
threw that back to the RV and just decided to run with him. So it turned out to be that we ran. So it was good. It was good. You know.
How much weight did you lose, Alika?
Oh, shoot. I lost. It was a total of 33 pounds from start.
Wow.
Day one till the finish. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. It was a brutal.
Yeah, that's like a once in a lifetime thing, one and done. At least for me, it would be, if I even made it that far. But no, that's an awesome story, and I'm going to come back to each of your stories specifically because I have more questions. But let's move on to Jerry. And Jerry, I got to ask you this: do you have a weight loss story to match Agnes and Alika, or have you always been skinny?
I've always been slender. Yeah, I don't have a weight loss story.
That's okay. Tell us your story a little bit about you are the founder of the company, and tell us a little bit about, you started this back in the 80s and how it came about. What was your passion back then and what led you down this path?
Yeah, actually, I'm a chemical engineer by formal training, and I did all my graduate work in the area of bioengineering, working with microorganisms to produce products. And I started teaching at University of California, Santa Barbara in '72, and was looking for a research topic and found this whole class of organisms, microalgae, that have the ability to produce a tremendous wide range of nutritional products, very healthy, very unique products. So I started doing research with microalgae back then, funded by the National Science Foundation. And that's when I really started and got my hands real green with microalgae. Sort of jump ahead, decided to found Cyanotech based on microalgae technology, and a product entered the health food market, Spirulina, and it was a product that had a tremendously rich nutritional composition, a very good product, but at that time it was all coming in from Mexico, near Mexico City, Lake Texcoco. And the Spirulina, although nutritionally it was very good, it was a dirty product. It had high bacterial counts, high heavy metal counts. So they thought, hey, here's an opportunity, a market's being established to apply some engineering solutions to efficiently produce Spirulina and an extremely high quality of Spirulina. So we got enough money in Cyanotech to put up a small production site, and we looked all over the United States for a suitable place, wrote letters to every sunny state in the Union, and it was really almost a joke that I wrote to Hawaii. And as soon as my letter hit the state of Hawaii, a department called Aquaculture Development, I got a call from the department, and they explained this wonderful site we have here, the Natural Energy Laboratory. And Cyanotech was actually founded in the Seattle area. It was February in Seattle. And it's very easy to convince yourself to take a business trip to Hawaii in February.
I can imagine.
We came out here and looked at it, and indeed, where we're located is probably the ideal spot to grow microalgae. Located here at the Natural Energy Lab out on a place called Keahole Point. We get more sunlight than any other coastal location in the United States. It's warm 12 months a year, so it can produce 12 months a year. We get very low rainfall, only about 12 inches a year. And it's a really pristine area. It's very far away from any kind of agricultural operations. So we came out here and started construction in 1984, and Spirulina was our first product. And we've been here ever since. We started with 5 acres, now we occupy 90 acres.
Yeah. And how have you seen Spirulina, for example, specifically boom in the past? I don't know, because, I mean, I'm trying to think about when I first heard of Spirulina. You know, I've been in the health and fitness industry for about 8 years now. And it wasn't just until probably the past 5 years, I would say, is where it became more widely recognized. But for you, starting back in the 80s, when did you see people start to pick up on Spirulina?
Well, there always seemed to be a very faithful following of people using Spirulina. It has been growing. It grew pretty fast, I think, during the early 90s, and then somewhat leveled off. Right now, we're seeing a steady growth of about 5 to 7% a year in Spirulina usage.
Yeah, which is kind of, you know, I started hearing about it from other health and fitness professionals, and then I think more, you know, every time I listen to a podcast, Spirulina seems to be like the hot supplement that's out there, right? Because it comes from the ocean, and it's the wide variety of nutrients. It's one of the most nutrient dense foods you can find on the planet, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes. It has a very high level of antioxidant carotenoids. It contains a unique blue pigment called phycocyanin that helps protect the liver and kidney from toxin. It also contains antiviral compounds as well as compounds that stimulate the immune system. So people that take Spirulina tend to have more energy and not get sick anywhere near as much.
Yeah. Now let's talk about astaxanthin. First of all, I'm sure there's people out there who still don't know what that is or even how to pronounce the word. Can you tell us the basics of what astaxanthin is and why it's so powerful?
Well, astaxanthin is a carotenoid, related to things like beta-carotene, lutein, and lycopene. But it's the most abundant carotenoid found in the marine environment. It's what colors salmon flesh as well as lobster shells and shrimp shells. And as it turns out, astaxanthin is the most powerful natural antioxidant known, many, many times stronger than beta-carotene, lutein, vitamin E or vitamin C, for instance. And in addition, astaxanthin has anti-inflammatory properties. So astaxanthin actually can address a number of health issues that combine either poor antioxidant status and or inflammatory imbalance.
Yeah. So where is it harvested from? What does it come from? How do you guys make it?
The richest source of natural astaxanthin is from a microalgae called Hematococcus pluvialis. And that microalgae we culture here at Cyanotech for Nutrex Hawaii. We grow it in line ponds that are about 300 feet long, 50 feet across, and hold about 250,000 liters. It's a very complicated process because we actually start these very large cultures in a laboratory in about a cup of liquid in a shake flask. So it goes from something like 250 mils, then to 20 liters, then to 400 liters, then to 30,000 liters, and 60,000 liters, and then finally up to 250,000 liters. The whole process takes about 7 weeks. And then we harvest the Hematococcus by a combination of letting the algae settle to the bottom of the tank and centrifugation, and then we dry it. But with the dried Hematococcus, we're only halfway there. Then what we have to do is we use something called supercritical carbon dioxide extraction to extract all the oils and the astaxanthin out of the microalgae. And this astaxanthin-rich oleoresin that's extracted is then formulated and put into soft gels to finally make the soft gel capsules that are sold as BioAstin.
Yeah, for everyone listening, that if you didn't understand any of that, just know that it's a complicated process, and it's the highest quality product you can find, pretty much. So if you didn't understand the science behind what Jerry was just explaining, that's okay. Just know that it is an interesting process, and I have seen it. It's amazing. If you get a chance to go to Kona, check out your guys' facility out there. It's amazing what you guys have done there.
Yeah, the other thing, Drew, I wanted to add is that we don't use, it's all non-GMO. We don't use any herbicides or pesticides anywhere on the facility. And our extraction process, the carbon dioxide used, it's essentially solvent-free. There are no toxic solvents like hexane, heptane, or alcohol used in the extraction process. It's just pure CO2. So it's an extremely clean product.
And it's and the spirulina, you guys harvest that there as well, right?
Well, we do, yes. About half our farm's in spirulina production. The other half is in Hematococcus production for us to produce BioAstin.
Now, let's say your average person starts taking astaxanthin and spirulina. What are some noticeable things that people, would start to notice if they've never taken these supplements before?
Well, if they're taking both, the one thing they would notice is they wouldn't get sick as much, and they probably tend to have more energy. That really comes from the spirulina. On the astaxanthin side, astaxanthin is very good at helping with joint pains. It's very good at helping with muscle soreness and muscle recovery after strenuous exercise. And amazingly, astaxanthin is almost an internal sunscreen. It actually, consuming astaxanthin orally increases the skin's resistance to UV radiation. And that's because the first thing that happens when you're starting to get sunburn is a generation of free radicals in the skin, and astaxanthin very effectively quenches those free radicals so they can't do a lot of damage.
That's so interesting, because I was going to ask you about that, and that's one of the biggest things I noticed when I first started taking it was out there in Kona, I was never getting sunburn. I couldn't understand it. It was so interesting, but people told me about it before I took it, so I kind of knew that was one of the side effects. But yeah, I would give it to my daughters too. Not to say that we didn't put sunscreen on, but at the same time, I knew that I never got sunburn. It was so interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, we had no idea that was a property of astaxanthin, and then some of our people here that work here at Sanotech are avid surfers. And we started getting feedback. Hey, I'm taking astaxanthin, BioAstin. I'm out in the surf all day, and I'm not getting sunburned anymore. About after the third or fourth person told us that, so we're going to do a clinical trial under controlled conditions. Sure enough, consuming astaxanthin really enhances the skin's resistance to sunburn and UV radiation.
Yeah. Let's go over to Alika a little bit. Alika, kind of want to ask your perspective of when you started taking astaxanthin and spirulina, and then what did you notice as an athlete training for triathlons, for example, that were noticeable benefits to you?
I started taking it about 7 or 8 years ago while I was playing tennis. This is before triathlon, and I used to get super burned and sunburn. I wear my hair really, really short, kind of bald, and that would just get hammered by the sun. But after a friend of mine had suggested to take BioAstin for internal sunscreen, he told me, I just kind of giggled to myself and said, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I started to take it, and I didn't really notice it until, well, I noticed that I wouldn't get sunburned. I would get red, and then that was it. I would get darker the next day. And I wouldn't peel, which was weird. As far as like joint recovery and everything like that I didn't really notice until I ran out of my bottle and, started to kind of go through the motions of what did I change, and it was that I kind of stopped taking the BioAstin, and I started to take too long or a little longer than normal to recover. So I jumped back on, and ever since I as long as I had some, I'm taking it. So
Yeah, just don't run out of it. That's the only thing. No, that's really interesting because I honestly didn't start taking it until I moved out there and I saw it at Walmart, Target. I'm like, what is this stuff? And then I started, listening to more podcasts and doing a little bit more research on it, and just fell in love with this stuff because I asked around on what other people thought of it, and sure enough, I mean, it was noticeable. I used to take glucosamine chondroitin for my joints, and that seemed to help. But then I stopped taking it and I started taking this stuff, and it was like night and day because there's so many other benefits, like the protection from the sun, the anti-inflammatory properties, the recovery. I wasn't as sore. I was going to ask you, Agnes, from your perspective, because you've worked for the company for a long time, so you must have been taking this stuff for a while. How did it help you in your transformation when you started working with Salika?
I think it really helped my recovery. The spirulina, obviously, with my immune system. But the bioacid, if you know Alika, you know his workouts, which entails probably about 1,000 squats in an hour. And it just really helped with my recovery. I wouldn't be as sore after workouts. And then, of course, the sun, because we do live in Hawaii and I'm out there all the time. So mostly for those reasons, and like I said, for spirulina, for my immune system, just for your overall, well-being.
Yeah, and I noticed that a lot of your ambassadors on your website are triathletes or surfers, right? Is that your main target market?
No, they actually come to us from all angles. We have, like you said, triathletes. We got tennis players. What else? We have surfers. We have a big wave surfer, Makua Rothman. And all these people, they come to us because they take the product, they love it, and they just come to us and say, hey, what can we do, to help you promote this? Because they want, of course, everybody to take it. So it's really cool what's been happening with that whole program.
Yeah. Now, Jerry, I kind of wanted to ask you, there's other brands out there. There's other astaxanthins. What's the difference? Are they all created equal? And if not, why is that? And does that make sense?
Oh, it does. And the one thing, we're starting to see a little bit of synthetic astaxanthin enter the nutrition market. There's a tremendous difference between synthetic astaxanthin and natural astaxanthin. Even though it says nature identical, it's not. And it gets somewhat technical, but the gist of it is there's probably 300 clinical studies showing natural astaxanthin health benefits and safety, none with synthetic. We've measured the antioxidant power of natural compared to synthetic, and I think natural astaxanthin is probably 8 or 9 times stronger than the synthetic. So that's one thing I'd really advise your listeners to shy away from is synthetic astaxanthin. Now there are other natural astaxanthins on the market. They're reasonable quality. We know some of the companies, and we've actually formed what's called the Natural Algae Astaxanthin Association, or NAXA, to educate the public about the advantages of natural astaxanthin. In this NAXA organization are some of our competitors, and they're worthy competitors. So they produce a reasonable product. Cyanotech produces astaxanthin in a very natural way. We actually expose our Haematococcus to the direct intensity of the Hawaiian sunlight at the last stage, and really it ripens or accumulates astaxanthin naturally. Our competitors either grow this in encased glass tubes, or in some cases using artificial light in fermenters. So it's a different growing technique, a different production technique. Ours is really very close to nature, how astaxanthin accumulates in nature. And we have a tremendous quality control program here. We're good manufacturing practices certified, following all GMP laws as dictated by the FDA. And we've been producing natural astaxanthin since 1996. So we're one of the oldest producers of this product.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you guys come together, especially against the synthetic astaxanthins, which I'm assuming are a lot cheaper, but it doesn't say on the bottle synthetic astaxanthin, right? I'm assuming.
No, it doesn't. It'll say nature identical. That's a big giveaway.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. What can people look for that will tell them if it's synthetic? or not?
Yeah. The synthetic astaxanthin or nature identical astaxanthin, the starting point for that is petrochemicals. It's made from petrochemicals in a factory.
That's interesting. Yeah, so that's something for you guys to be aware of if you've seen other astaxanthins out there. Just do your homework a little bit. And I kind of want to also talk about the cardiovascular benefits to this. For example, in triathletes or endurance athletes of any type, and then also the eye and brain health too, and how astaxanthin helps out with those two things.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just reviewing some literature, some human clinical studies on both of those health indications. And yeah, there's been, let's see, I think I reviewed 4 different studies in where people took astaxanthin starting from 4 milligrams all the way up to 18 milligrams per day. And in each study, what they found was that the LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, went down, HDL went up, and triglycerides went down. So it really helps a lot with blood chemistry. Also, one study showed that it decreased the oxidation of fatty acids in the blood, which oxidation of fatty acids leads to arterial sclerosis, hardening and clogging of the blood vessels. And so it really is good for heart health. The other point you mentioned, eye health and brain health, astaxanthin is one of the few carotenoids that actually can cross something called the blood-brain barrier. Things like lycopene can't cross that. But this allows astaxanthin to cross the blood-brain barrier and get in and deliver antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects to both the eyes and the brain. And in terms of eye health, there are, I think I have 5 studies now with eye health in astaxanthin showing that it reduces eye fatigue and that it also increases accommodation, which is the ability to see fine details. So for modern day workers staring at computer screens, it's really a beneficial product. Reduction in eye fatigue, so you see the small details on a computer screen. And in terms of brain health, there are a number of studies showing that one of them showed that consumption of astaxanthin reduces a compound found in the patients of dementia or Alzheimer's disease. It's called PLOOH, and it accumulates in high amounts in people with dementia or Alzheimer's. Consumption of astaxanthin actually reduced that. And then in another sort of qualitative study, they found people with mild dementia taking astaxanthin at 12 milligrams per day, their dementia improved. It got less. The memory increased. So there are definite human clinical trials on all of these studies. And again, with natural astaxanthin.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these human clinical astaxanthin studies, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah, we actually have on the website, the Nutrix website, a library you can go to, and there's a book of abstracts on the scientific research with astaxanthin, natural astaxanthin. And I think it's about 360 pages long. And it's just the abstracts, not the full papers.
Yeah. It's amazing. And that's one thing that makes a supplement like this legit or legitimate for people, is to see human clinical studies like these ones, like you guys have on astaxanthin. And that's the power behind it, right? Because it's not just something that no one's tested before. And, there's definitely science to back it up, which I look for in a supplement as well. That's what I tell all my followers to look for as well. Going over some of these statistics that I'm seeing, it also says it's 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, 800 times stronger than CoQ10, 550 times stronger than green tea, 100 times stronger than vitamin E. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, the green tea ketones.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I missed that last word right there. But I mean, this is really powerful stuff. Is it possible to overdose on this stuff if you take too much of it? Because sometimes if something's good, more of it isn't always better.
Well, we recommend 12 milligrams per day. We actually have filed what's called a new dietary ingredient notice with the FDA on 12 milligrams a day. It's absolutely safe at 12 milligrams a day for very long-term use. Having said that, some of our triathlete customers, one gentleman in particular that works with us, Tim Mark, takes 50 milligrams a day when he's training hard.
Wow.
And no side effects. I know of other people that are taking 25 milligrams a day, and it's really improved some eye conditions that they've had. With beta carotene, and actually spirulina contains a lot of beta carotene. If you take too much spirulina, the beta carotene in spirulina will start to turn your skin yellow, especially the first part of the palms of your hands. That doesn't happen with astaxanthin. If you take 50 milligrams a day, your skin doesn't turn red. Yeah. So we know of no adverse effects, no side effects of taking astaxanthin. We don't know the upper limit.
Yeah, no, that's just something I ask all the time, just for those people that might have that question. But anyways, no, I take 2 to 3, 12 milligrams. So what's that? 24 to 36. What about you, Alika and Agnes? How much do you guys take, and does it vary?
I take the same as you, and yeah, it varies depending on if it's an off day or not, but at least 24 milligrams a day, at least.
Yeah.
I do.
Agnes?
Yeah, I take 24, so 2 of the 12 milligrams. I'm pretty consistent. I have a bottle on my desk, so I'm really good during the week. I forget sometimes on the weekends, but yeah, I say 2.
Yeah, and then I know that obviously there's no clinical studies done on kids with this, but is it safe to give kids?
Yeah, we really do not have any clinical studies with children on astaxanthin. But, the total safety of it in adults, I think, kids should probably be over 8 or 9 years old before you do that. But we know of no bad effects. We've been selling it since '98. Literally tens of millions of doses have been sold by Nutrex into the U.S. mainland.
I give it to my dog. My dog.
You do?
He's going blind, or he's pretty much almost completely blind. But I've been mixing it in with his dog food. And I don't know if it's working or not, but
yeah, because you can't ask him.
And his coat, his fur is pretty shiny right now.
Okay.
Interesting that the dog sled racers, one of them, it's actually a secret ingredient they put in the food of the dog sleds that helps them recover much faster.
Oh.
And we actually were selling a feed grade, and we stopped selling that, and now they're using the human grade for their sled dogs.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
No, that actually is really interesting. So what other products do you guys have over there? I know you got the BioAstin, the Spirulina. What else do you guys produce?
Well, we have the Green Complete. That's a Spirulina green drink. Then we have a protein that's pretty new. What else do we have? We have some vegetarian astaxanthin options. We have Omega Aston, iAston, Joint Aston, and that's about it. What's
the difference between Joint Aston and BioAstin, and what was the other one? Omega Aston?
Yeah, those are vegetarian formulas, and we added ingredients to make them more condition specific.
Gotcha. And I don't know if I can ask this, but are there any future products that you guys are launching soon that you guys want to talk about?
All of our products are based right now on spirulina or astaxanthin. We are actively searching for a new microalgae product, new microalgae to grow here. There's really nothing I can talk about right now that's going to be coming out next year. We're looking very hard at it. We're concentrating on really helpful, unique products for microalgae.
Yeah, and no, I like that. And you always got to be looking for the next big thing, like the next algae or whatever it is, to stay up with modern science. And if you guys don't discover it, someone's going to discover it. And but that's what I like about you guys. You guys are always on the cutting edge, and you guys have hit a gold mine, in my opinion, with astaxanthin. I hear everybody talking about it now. One of my good friends who has the number one health podcast on iTunes, Sean Stevenson, did a whole podcast on astaxanthin. I don't know if he's been connected with your brand yet, but I'll have to talk to him about it. Before I let you guys go, I kind of wanted to ask you this, Alika, because you're actually the first native Hawaiian that I've had on the show. And I kind of want to ask about your story a little bit of, when you gained the weight and you did the bar competition, the bars. Did you see any of your upbringing, your culture play into you gaining the weight? Because my brother lives out there, and there's a lot of Polynesians that are overweight, right? And it's kind of part of the culture. What helped you to embrace the healthier lifestyle that maybe you're trying to help out in the Polynesian community?
Yes, Polynesians they're not big boned, they eat. Ironically, native, like traditionally our food, Hawaiian food or Polynesian food is really healthy if you stick to the traditional Polynesian food. But now with everything, the added rice that every local eats with every single meal, that's kind of, and the extra added salts and different ingredients that they add to the dishes, that's kind of what spoils the health benefits. But like taro, kalo, that's one of the, I'm pretty sure it's one of the big superfood that I know a lot of colleges are studying too now. So it's, or that'll turn into poi, which is our native, our staple for food for all Polynesia. So we actually have, our food is really healthy, but we just go a little overboard with everything else. And if we could just stick to the basics of that, we'd be much more well off.
Yeah, no, that I agree 100%. And I actually was talking with my brother about that as well. It's just all the recent easy processed foods that have made their way over there, and they're cheap, right? They're convenient, and yeah, they taste good, man. Twinkies taste good. But, if you're eating that all day.
Fast food really take its toll. And and we're always raised to eat everything on our plate. When we were kids, you don't leave the table until you finish your food, or you end up falling asleep on the table. So that's something when every local is pretty much raised on. And as you grow older, you end up teaching your kids to do the same thing. And after I started to lose all the weight and stuff like that, I tried to change my whole mindset on how I was raised, just because I wanted to kind of stop that whole mentality of overeating, think you're full but know what you're eating. So I try to teach my son. He's 9 now. And I'll just let him make the option, but I'll give him one really good option and one really bad option. So I kind of sway him a little bit towards that good option. But then he makes that option, makes that choice. So he never saw fast food until he was probably 4, but that's his grandparents' fault. And then, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you got to break the chain a little bit with old traditions sometimes that might not be the healthiest, even though they've been, passed down and from generation to generation. I definitely feel the same way, too, with my kids. And it's a struggle, right? Because all their other friends, are doing it differently. So sometimes you got to be the mean parent sometimes to help your kids. But what are you doing now, Alika? I know you have your own business, too, with training, right?
Right. I remember when I first met you, you came to one of my Saturday classes I was coaching over at CrossFit Kona at a community workout, and I saw your name you look kind of familiar, and I saw your name on the waiver, and then I saw your email, and it said Fit to Fat to Fit, and it was funny because like a month before that, some agent company, I don't even know how, but casted me for the first season of Fit to Fat to Fit. And it was funny because I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'll do the whole interview and all this, the whole process went through it. And as soon as I got off of the interview, I called him right back and I was like, you know what? I just heard what I just told you, that I lost 110 pounds, and I don't want to gain any more weight and just take it off again. So I said, cancel that whole thing. And then find out that I ended up meeting you 1 month later, it was kind of ironic that we stumbled upon each other.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember you telling me about that. I'm like, oh yeah, because I remember when they cast for the first season of Fit to Fat to Fit. Yeah, they reached out to everybody, right? Like which trainers are crazy enough to really do this? And so, I'm glad you didn't have to go through it because you've been through it once before, and so you've already proven yourself, man. And before we go, I'll have you guys, give your social media and your websites and stuff like that, so people can get in touch with you and actually see you guys because they can't see you. But yeah, all three of you guys look amazing. You're all three fit, and so. But anyways, I appreciate you guys coming on the podcast. Before I let you guys go, though, I do have a few rapid fire questions for you, and then we'll give people your website and information if that's okay.
Certainly.
Okay. And we'll start with Jerry. Jerry, what is your favorite cheat meal? What's your favorite unhealthy food?
Unhealthy fried pork rind.
There you go.
Those sound good. That's not that unhealthy, right?
Deep fried. Yeah. Pork.
Okay, Alika.
Me? Oh, same question?
Yeah, same question.
A waffle with ice cream and bacon on top.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you find that? Who makes that?
Anywhere I can convince them to do that.
That does sound really good, actually. Okay, Agnes.
I have to say chocolate.
Just chocolate?
Just chocolate.
Just like Hershey's or what?
No, any kind of good chocolate. Milk chocolate, of course.
Okay, we're not talking like, Mr. Good bars or like
No.
the cheap Halloween stuff.
Yeah, because being from Europe, they have some really killer chocolate there. So that's my downfall for sure.
Okay, yeah. That's different. That's totally different. What was the biggest lesson you guys learned in 2016? We'll start with Agnes.
For me, it was not to wait to get in shape. That was like, I probably shouldn't look at this that way, but it's like, why didn't I do this before? Why did I wait so long? That was my biggest lesson. And that's what I try to tell everybody. Don't wait. Do it now.
Gotcha. Alika.
Mine is to always make time for yourself.
Yeah.
I started my Homana strength and conditioning company just over a year ago, and my training has taken a huge toll on it.
Yeah.
So, but I got everyone else to good success, but always to try to make some time for yourself, and the climb back won't be as hard. Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur definitely takes its toll on you. There's so many unhealthy entrepreneurs out there. Sometimes we think, well, I'm being selfish or I'll be less productive if I, exercise or go to gym or meal prep or any of that stuff, right? But when in reality, there's more of you to give if you're taking care of your health first. So,
absolutely.
Otherwise you're pouring from an empty cup. What about you, Jerry?
I think just keep persevering through problems.
Keep persevering through problems. I like that. Nice and simple. Okay, what are your goals for 2017? Let's start there. And you could go, Jerry, first.
To have a very successful year at Nutrix Hawaiian San Jose.
Very, very broad, general. I like it though. Be very successful. What about you, Alika?
My goal is to be able to take my family on a vacation. We have never been on a vacation, so even if it's to another island, whatever, just take a couple of weeks off and kind of just hang out.
Yeah. Agnes?
My goal would probably to do the Ironman next year.
Whoa.
That's the goal.
So she was supposed to have done it this past year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a slot this year, but yeah, I had some medical reasons. I ended up with a blood clot in my lung. So 6 weeks before they told me, nope, sorry, you can't do it.
Oh, man.
So, but it's all good now. And Aston helped me with that, with the recovery, big time. It's almost
awesome.
All there. So next year, hopefully we'll try again.
Okay, 2017. And it'll be October, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I hope to make it back out there soon, you guys. Thank you once again for coming on. Before I let you guys go, where can people find more information about Bioastin and you guys personally too? So websites and social medias, if that's okay.
Okay, the Bioastin site is itakebioastin.com. Facebook is just Bioastin, and Instagram. And we do have a code for your listeners, a 40% off. Mm-hmm. It's Fit to Fat to Fit.
Okay, so they go to that website and enter in the code Fit to Fat to Fit.
Yeah, they should go to. They need to go to bioastin.com.
Okay, bioastin.com.
Yeah.
Use code Fit to Fat to Fit. We'll put all of that in the show notes too.
Yeah, and then my own Instagram it's Agnes-ish. What is it? Agnes? Yeah, ish. My first name and then ISH.
Okay. Alika?
Next, my social media is my full name, Alika Ho'omana, on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat.
Yeah, and I'll spell it out for the editors of the show so they know how to pronounce that. But
also my Ho'omana Strength and Conditioning. You can like that page as well.
Is it Ho'omana Strength and Conditioning?
Yes.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes as well. Jerry, are you on social media?
No, I'm not.
You don't have Snapchat?
I can direct you to cyanotech.com.
Okay.
There's a wealth of information under the library on both spirulina and bioastin, natural astaxanthin. And there's also about the corporation, the way it's structured, and some very nice aerial photographs of the company.
And can people find the clinical trials on that website as well?
Yes, if they go to if they click on like spirulina and then library, and click on library, it'll take you right to a lot of the clinical trials.
Okay.
And same for astaxanthin.
Yeah. Okay. I'll put that in the show notes too, because I know some people are going to want to do some research and check out those trials. So, anyways, thank you guys once again for coming on. I really appreciate you guys coming on the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast. Aloha, and thank you guys for your time, and enjoy Hawaii for me.
Thank you, Drew. We look forward to having you back.
Yeah, I will be back. I definitely miss it out there. I'm freezing cold out here in Utah.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, that's too bad.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
This morning.
All right. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys once again for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast and learned something about astaxanthin and spirulina, and maybe you'll even start taking it. Don't forget about the 40% off discount code by going to bioastin.com and using my code Fit to Fat to Fit to get 40% off all their products. Definitely check them out. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Share it with someone that you think could benefit from this. And don't forget to reach out to me on social media at Fit to Fat to Fit. And go to my website, fittofattofit.com, and sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. And don't forget to tune in next week for another great episode where I really appreciate you guys being part of this Fit to Fat to Fit movement.